Hello ladies and gentlemen. This is a rubbish update. Not just because of my terrible editing and gameplay though. This particular stretch of the game, the running round encapsulated in this 15-minute video, it's actually quite crap. I think I edited 50 minutes of running around down to this 15 minutes, and I promise you I haven't taken out anything interesting at all. All the mech-on fights in this area are as by the numbers as is possible to be. Even though I fight a couple of uniques, the unique monsters aren't different at all. Now, one of the problems with Xenoblade is because of its kind of rough release, you know, they had to do the big, basically online begging to get them to localise it for the West, and it got brought over quite late. Sold in very limited numbers, etc, etc. It never had the companion book that all these games tend to have. I'm quite sad, I really like those books. I have them for... I basically, if I really like a game, you can tell if a game's my favourite because there'll be a big special edition book next to it on my bookshelves. The place of books. I have all the pseudo leather-bound Zelda books in the variety of colours. I love them. There's no book like that, or I definitely would have bought it for this. The closest we ever got was a tiny, kind of rubbish, art book that was produced for the special editions. I don't understand the appeal of the tiny art books. I want big one. I want big pictures, I don't want tiny pictures. Everything looks cool if you make it, well, every picture looks cool if you make it small. I want to see the big blown up versions where I can see the details and all the effort put into it. What was I talking about? Books? Oh, yes, I know. So apart from the tiny art book, there's no equivalent online either, so it's kind of a choice these days. You only really buy a book if you're getting a game for a kid, and you don't want them, say they're playing Skyrim or something, you don't want them looking something up and finding like the World of Lizard tip mods online. Or if you just really like it, you want the extra bits, the commentary that comes with it, the artwork and so on.
Here's our way in.
There's no turning back.
We can't let them find us. Let's move.
Right.
As a side note, I'm not ashamed to say that I am childish enough to giggle every time rear entrance appears in the game. And I'm telling you now, there's a lot of rear entrances in this game. But back on books and Wikipedias. So that's where you'd buy a book. Because for every other game, you can just look it up in 5 minutes. If it's not written somewhere, you can ask a question and someone will answer it.
Fiora's in here somewhere.
Let's get looking. Keep your eyes peeled. I'm ready for anything. I'll trash any mech-on that tries to mess with us.
Xenoblade Chronicles, you can't really do that. Whereas there's wikis for everything else under the sun that just are overly detailed and complete and kind of scary. I mean, you can get ones on like how to make tea and how to brush your hair and all that stuff, and they're so big and unwieldy. They hit me in the same way the all work and no play script does in The Shining, because I think to myself, someone has sat down and written this wiki and argued about it in the edit section. and it's complete and big and unnecessary. But every single one for Xenoblade Chronicles, they're all unfinished. The game is too big for everything to have been noted down, even though it's well over a year since it's been released. In fact, I think it's 2 now, because this is the 1-year anniversary of this Let's Play, and that was a year after my first awful attempt. But the Wikipedia is the wiki for Xenoblades, all of them put together. They'll only cover, although the majority of information, it's also the easiest information to work out. So some of the sneaky bits I've been trying to find out and work out for myself and double check, it's not there, and it's quite a pain in the arse really. But its relevance to this section is I've actually skipped the fights with a number of uniques, because when I look them up to double check, there is nothing special about, and I couldn't find anything interesting to say about this area at all.
Where are we?
Looks like the control room for an ether blast furnace. There, look at that.
So this is what supplies the Mechon with ether energy.
Shulk, what's that? Oh, looks like fun! Ricky, want to ride?
We didn't come here to mess about, furball. Time to bounce on.
Hold on. If we can stop that piston, we might be able to shut down the blast furnace.
Nice idea. Cut off the Mekon's ether supply.
Ricky say we try!
Yeah, but how are we supposed to stop something that massive?
If we can stop the turbines driving the piston, it should work. And the turbines should be nearby.
Right, let's search for them.
It does balance out though, because we are, after I finish this section, which thankfully only extends to the rest of this update, I managed to condense it down. We do lead into one of my favourite bits of the game, which I think has some really good writing, some fantastic character moments, and an absolutely gorgeous setting, even within the design of Xenoblade Chronicles itself and the world with the Bionis and the Mechonis. We're going to head somewhere that is still quite unique. Another thing I don't like about this area is it's the introduction of a new battle theme, which grates on me to the point where I have been playing the sound off, which I don't normally do. I normally love the sound in this game. I find the open world music is very relaxing. I do have the soundtrack. I did find that even though the battle music, you have one main theme for normal battles and one for boss battles, it never got too dull, and I definitely never wanted to skip it. The music that plays in this section, it just grates on my ears. And I'm not cheese. I don't want to be grated.
Nice one! We did it!
This should prevent them from mobilizing any large Mechon squads for now. Hopefully, we've improved the Allied forces' chances.
Hold steady, my brother.
Looks like the door's been unlocked.
Nice. Let's get down to the blast furnace.
If we're lucky, Fiora might be down there.
I'm not really sure what kind of security system they're running here. If breaking it means everything opens, that doesn't sound great. I mean, it means you avoid the kind of disaster horror movie cliche of one thing goes wrong and everyone dies in the nuclear plant, but really? A couple of turbines turn off and suddenly we have free roam? The Mechons really aren't very good at this. They definitely need to get some kind of HOMS planning managers in, or whatever those people are called. Smarty brain people with do-good planningness. I'm really struggling to think of anything to say over this one. Even if I'm not talking about the topic, normally what's going on screen gives me something to talk about and think about. I have done a little extra thing here. I've looped around the back of a couple of areas to pick up that red glowy, which was a safety device key. And if we go back to this original panel and then just past it, we can set the self-destruct mechanism, which breaks a window. This is necessary for a important side quest that I'll be doing later on. It was the only interesting thing I could think of to show in the area. But it does show that the Mechon really do need some more organisational consideration going on, because the key was just left near a random mine thing. This can be a little bit frustrating on the map because these pipes that I've just climbed up, there's a few of them, and they are on the map as walkways, but most of them, well, all of them to start with, lead to dead ends, and you can fall off them a few times and die, and only a couple of them actually end up leading anywhere, even when you have done stuff like set the self-destruct. Also, tiniest self-destruct ever. This fight is a pain. It feels a bit like artificial difficulty. As we've seen so far, the majority of people have, even if they're not like Shulk, whose attacks are very much based on where we're standing, everyone kind of has a consideration of where you want them to stand. You know, some people are naturally squishy compared to others. Sharla, for example, has a long range attack, so she never needs to be close. But this area is so cramped, and if you have the camera zoomed in, it's also quite easy to fall off, even if something isn't punting you about. Now, I, in no way, shape or form, have cut out a number of attempts where I immediately fell into the ether and died, because I'm above that kind of thing. And you know, I'd be honest with you, I did try and get one funny one in, actually, where Wiki fell in, and I'd already started a fight with one of these Mechon at the side, and he kept jumping up out of the stream, permanently on 1 health, bopping it and then falling back in, and doing a little drowning animation. My recording messed up, so I couldn't even show you guys one of the funny things that happened here. Now, because of the area constraints and the really poor railings, I mean, safety officer? Hello? You don't want to fight all these at once. They can, just by virtue of hitboxes interacting, they can shove you about a bit. They'll float, you can't shove them in, but they can shove you into the river. And if you reloaded, every time I reloaded in from dying, they are all back. So if you mess up on one of them, you have to redo all of them. This guy had nothing much special to do. Extra health, a bit boring to fight. Didn't really have any knockback or anything like that, which I'm kind of glad, I came up to it expecting that he would, considering there are no safety rails in this section. It's really irresponsible. But they did at least put in a purely close combat mech on, so I can appreciate that.
Let's do it!